Aha.
Hello, good evening from London. I'm Orna Ross from the Alliance of Independent Authors, and I'm here with Joanna Penn for our monthly Q&A, where we answer our members' questions about self-publishing, being an indie author, and all matters related. Hi, Jo.
Hi, Orna. Here we are again.
Here we are again. How are you?
I'm good, and yeah, I guess we start every month by giving a brief update on what we're up to, because just to remind everyone that we do actually create things as well as just talk about self-publishing. So what are you up to before we get into the main event?
Yeah, I am organising a crowdfunder. And yay, it's really kind of interesting. I've been doing this for ages now. I started off with, you may remember last summer, I mean, you and I had that really exciting conversation about fonts and the font guy in Frankfurt. And I had this whole idea based around a letter, WB8's handwriting, and doing a special book around that. That didn't work out because of rights issues. And, you know, I've been playing around with ideas. Anyway, what I am now doing, and this one's going ahead, I'm going to do a special edition of Yeats' book, The Secret Rose, together with my book, A Secret Rose, in a really special edition, which is a replica of his first edition of that book, which he did back in 1898 with his friend Althea Giles. She did the design. It's a really beautiful design. Gilt cover, laid paper, just a really beautiful object. So that's kind of what's exciting me about this project is, you know, we work so much in digital, and I love that, and I, you know, love that whole scene. But also, of course, love print books, and the challenge and, you know, just the interest in making a very nice, beautiful physical object was something I thought would be a really nice thing to do, because it's Yeats' 150th anniversary this year, so I wanted to do something special for that.
Oh, and we should say on that you are able to do that because of the copyright. This is public domain, this work that you are going to use in your book. You know, apart from if you give your rights to a box set, which indies can do, you can't just put someone else's book in a nice print copy. Can you, Orna? Just checking that everybody realizes what public domain is versus...
No, absolutely. Yeats came out of copyright a year ago, but there still can be, even when something's in public domain, there still can be rights issues. So, for example, they did not allow me to use his handwriting, and I suppose technically I could probably say, nah, I'm going to do it, but I wouldn't, out of respect to the estate. And there may still be issues around photographs and stuff like that, but rights are tricky, you know, it's never simple. But yeah, it is now. There are all sorts of versions of his work going up online and being thrown together really badly into Kindle versions and things. So this is the opposite end of that spectrum, where I'm kind of doing an active homage to the master. And it's really interesting as I researched the book, because I find out that W.B. Yeats was an indie author, and when he was working on this book, The Secret Rose, the publisher didn't like two of the stories and made him leave them out, and he went off and got a private publication of those two stories himself, which he paid for, and he had absolutely no money. I mean, he was so broke, but he cared so much about those stories, he wanted to put them out himself. So I think all of that's really interesting as well. I had no idea about that.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I'm going to be excited to see that. I mean, doing a print project like that is a really interesting one. A lot of people do special edition hardbacks for fans, but not as you're doing, like a really special edition with special paper and stuff. So that's cool. And I'm not going to update much this month. I am back writing Deviants. In my London Psychic series. I was speaking in Pub Sense in Charleston the other week, which was great. I got to meet a whole load of people I knew online, so it was nice to meet them in person. That was cool, and I have a whole load of stuff going on around recovering, retitling, and a load of other stuff, which hopefully next month I will be able to talk about when I actually have something coherent to say. Right now I'm kind of crazy mad person, so I think we'll just move straight on. How's that?
Yeah, so I would like to just mention IndieReCon for people who might be listening. I was going to say,
let's talk about IndieReCon.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you were going to say that. All right then. I felt there for one moment, actually, when you said you weren't going to update, that actually you might have had a month where you hadn't done a lot, Joanna.
No, never.
No, silly me. Yes, Just IndieReCon, just to say it's here. By the time we speak again for our next Q&A, it will be over. And so for those who don't know, IndieReCon is an online conference, a 3-day conference, which has been running for the last 2 years. This is the 3rd year, and this is our first year to be involved directly with it. We always did a session and, you know, kind of sponsored it a bit. But this year we're actually doing lots, and we're also have brought in a live streamed, live from London dimension to it. It's actually, we're calling it the Indie Author Fringe Fest for the London Book Fair, and we're doing the day in association with London Book Fair's Book and Screen Week. So it's not happening in the Olympia, it's actually happening in Foyles and Charing Cross Road, and that's a decision we sort of made because we thought, rather than being out in the heart of, you know, the publishing industry, to be in the middle of London where people buy books seemed much more relevant for our authors. So we have a really full day on that London day, we have a really full conference day, and then we have an indie author fair in the evening, and Apple Books are going to come along, ALLi Books, and Ingram is of course our gold sponsor for the day, and they're going to be doing videos of author interviews, and we're live streaming it and so on. And then the other 2 days are packed with people, fantastic people, Barbara Frithie, H.M. Ward, Bella Andre, Joel Friedlander, Jane Friedman, Mark Coker, yourself. You know, everybody has been so
like hundred of speakers, I think. Like,
practically 24 hours a day from Wednesday morning until Friday night, and just every hour a new piece of information, some of which is aimed at beginners and some at more experienced people. So, and it will be there then for the rest of the year, so you don't have to catch it all in those 3 days.
And it's free. It is free.
Completely free. Our sponsors allow us to make it completely free to authors, including the Live from London Day is free to ALLi members only, but I think we're practically closed now. I think the tickets are.
But it's all
finished.
free online to anyone, and, you know, share it everywhere. And I get a lot from it every year. You know, it's so funny because sometimes, you know, you speak to people and you think, I know a lot, you know, I've been doing this a while and I know a lot, and other people don't know anything. And then you listen to some people and you realize you really don't know a lot, and other people know a lot. And so I love IndieReCon because I think wherever you are on the spectrum, there are sessions. Like if you go and look at IndieReCon.com,
.org actually. .org.
Yeah. IndieReCon, you'll see a list of the sessions, and just scroll down those sessions, and, you know, there will definitely be things that you want to, you know, consume out of that day, or the days.
For sure, guaranteed. There's something there for everyone. And as you say, you can know a lot, but yet there can be a sort of a whole, you know, stream of things going on over here that you know nothing about. But each year, this is kind of a bringing together of everything and everybody as much as we can from the indie author world. So, yeah, come along and enjoy and learn.
Yeah, it'll be super exciting, and use the hashtag #IndieReCon on Twitter, right?
#IndieReCon on Twitter, and there's a Facebook page too. And if everybody could kind of spread the word, that would be great. So to people who don't know about it, and to other authors,
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so we have some questions that have been submitted. So if people watching live would like to enter questions, we will. I will just do some of the ones that have been entered on the sheet, and then we'll answer some live questions too. So just be typing in your questions while we do these first few, and then we'll come to the live questions. So we have a question from Genre. I want to say genre, but it's not spelled like that. Genre. I'm planning to publish a series with 17 short stories for 9 to 12-year-olds. Would it be better to produce a book for each 5K word story, or feature 2 5K stories per book? So 5,000 word stories for 9 to 12-year-olds, and Genre has 17, which is loads, you know. So what do you, I don't write to this age group. You have children, so you could answer this one.
I wish we had our children's advisor here, or Karen Inglis, because she would be really good on helping here. So the question is whether each story should be published separately or published
as two 5K stories. I think personally this will depend on. I don't think the digital market for 9 to 12 is that mature yet. I think it's coming, but I think the market for 9 to 12-year-olds, as Karen does and other children's authors, is print dominated. And print dominated, you can't really publish a 5,000 word short story on its own unless it's got a lot of pictures. And I don't think the 9 to 12-year-old age group has a lot of pictures. So I would say that just if you're aiming to do print, 17, maybe you're looking at 2 print volumes of kind of 9 each. If you're doing it digitally, you could do them all separately, but I just don't know how many people are buying ebooks at 9 to 12-year-old. Do you have any opinions?
Well, I know that the sort of general opinion is that the technology still isn't quite there. It's getting there for sure, but that EPUB 3 will make all the difference around this sort of thing in terms of if they are picture books. And as you say, at age 9, I think we're into, there may be some picture, an illustration at the top or whatever, but we're probably into text. 5,000 words is quite short. Short stories are difficult as well. So, and also it would depend a little bit on the content, I think, what's in there, and the sort of, are they stories with a message and a moral? And, when you're selling children's books, you're really selling to parents and teachers. You're not really selling to children unless you do what Karen and so many children's authors do, which is get out and about with your box
in schools,
books, into schools and into bookstores that have, little children's corners and will welcome you in to kind of read to the kids and get to know them and all that kind of thing. It's really labor intensive, children's publishing, and it is quite a specialist area. But the one thing I will say, Joanna, if you would like us to put you in touch with Karen, who is, she is our children's publishing expert, and she will be able to advise you, we can certainly do that.
Or search for Karen Inglis, Inglis, online, and Karen's got a great website with loads of help for children's authors. This actually ties into our second question, which is from Stewart. What is the best way to use social media when marketing children's books age 8 to 12? They don't legally have a presence on Facebook, etc. Is social media a waste of time? And I get this question a lot, and as Orna just said, you're not marketing to the 8 to 12-year-old unless you're going into schools, which isn't social media. You're marketing to the parents and the grandparents. So I would, look at going on boomer podcasts, boomer blogs, which is the grandparent kind of generation, parenting sites, and tying into that type of market and finding whatever niche it is. So if your book's got interesting location, for example, you could do expat boomer blogs or travel boomer blogs or whatever, like niche down, but you're aiming at parents and grandparents. Mummy blogging and daddy blogging is massive, as is boomer blogging. You just have to go and do your research on which market you want to do. And since the question's from Stewart, you probably want daddy blogging and the boomers. I know quite a lot of male boomers who are doing podcasting now. So this is definitely a massive growth market.
Yeah, and then within that, you'll probably break down in terms again of content. Is it non-fiction? Is it fiction? Is it sort of with a moral? Is it Christian? Is it So within the parenting blogs and so there are so many. So it's a matter of finding really, usually when you write a book for children, it's because you have children yourself and you're kind of moved to then do it as you're telling them stories, or indeed looking for books for them. It can be quite difficult to get the right book for the right child. So you're looking then for parents who have similar sorts of concerns that you do, that you get on with, kind of thing. And so You know, self-publishing, finding your audience, finding your reader, reaching out to your reader is always a challenge. And I think for niche publishing like children's publishing, it can be particularly challenging, which means particularly rewarding as well, of course. But it is very much a matter of going niche. Don't think it's a matter of going onto Twitter and saying, you know, children's book.
I have a book, yeah.
Yeah, or hashtag, you know, children's book. That won't do it. You need to really do your research and understand who you're speaking to.
And as with all marketing, I think like personal connections. So, you know, maybe you're into motorbikes. I don't know if you are, but, you know, say you as a person are into motorbikes, and you can use that to find other people online who like motorbikes, talk about motorbikes, and then your books will come up, whatever you write, whether that's children's books or whatever. You know, I know a guy in Australia, you know, who had a baby recently and has always been a biker and a martial artist and everything, and then had a baby, and then it's like, okay, you have a motorbike and a baby, and your wife used to go on the back of your bike, and now it ain't happening. And, you know, these are the types of challenges that you can talk about that have nothing to do with your books, but will help you bond with other people, and then your books will just naturally come up in conversation. So I think that's actually the most authentic way to do marketing, which is just talking about what you love and sharing it with other people who are enthusiastic about the same stuff, and then this type of thing just naturally happens. You know, that's how I'm friends with Orna, right? We, you know, were into all this stuff, and we were living in opposite. I was in Australia and Orna was in London, and we were friends online, you know, first through a shared interest in writing and indie stuff, and here we are today.
Yes. Be a humanoid. That's basically.
Or a human, not a humanoid.
Well, online you're kind of a humanoid. But be human is the point, you know, and have fun. Be you. I really think so many indies are losing that opportunity to absolutely be themselves by trying to do the right thing, or trying to, you know, trying too hard to market, if you like. It can be a very, and should be, I think, a very organic experience, you know, and social media is social first of all. Media is very much a secondary. It will happen naturally.
Okay, cool. So we have two questions that are kind of similar. Damon mentions last month in February we had a question about how to distribute books, how to actually self-publish basically without going with one of these companies that want to offer all the services. So basically, you know, that kind of middle ground. So do you want to just, and the other question, because they're kind of related, is from John. Please direct me or provide me with sources to learn of the best moves to publish and market a self-help book on mnemonic devices, as in memory, I presume mnemonic is. It sounds interesting. So regardless whether it's fiction or non-fiction, what does ALLi have in terms of resources on publishing and marketing? Orna?
Wow. Well, I mean, they're big questions, aren't they? So
where do we find the info?
Yeah, well, the info's on the resources pages in the website and also in the books. So, but let's just talk for a minute about the whole idea of the two ways to do it, if you like, or the three ways to publish, if you like. So, you know, up to quite recently, it was 99.99% trade publishing. You had to get somebody else to actually invest in you and take a risk on you, publish your book for you, and that had required you to jump through all sorts of hoops and things. And in some cases, of course, this still goes on. I'm talking like it's in the past. It's not at all. But that's one kind of way to market, if you like. Second, you know, is the option of actually going to a publishing house where you pay for the services. So you pay a one company, and they hire the designers, the format. They basically do what a publishing company does at its expense. They do at your expense. And then there is the way which we encourage, while also recognizing that there are lots of people who you know, for whom time is more precious than money, and so they want to take that second option and actually pay for the services. But ideally, and if you want to make this a sort of a way of life and how you earn your living, the best way to go about it is to actually go direct to the platforms that have become available to us, and then use a distributor for subscription services and other services that you don't reach. So I'm talking about Amazon KDP for digital, alongside Kobo, Nook, remind me of, I always forget somebody, and then Amazon CreateSpace and Ingram for print. And all of those platforms will pay you something between 50 and 70% of your cover price, and you take charge. You hire the cover designer, you get the formatters, and we have a list of people, approved partners, who can help you to do that. And we also will kind of steer you away from some of the services where you can pay a lot of money for very poor service and absolutely no marketing behind you whatsoever. So if you're taking the second way and you're actually paying a services company, you need to get very clear about what you're paying for. If you're just paying for the cost of a designer and a formatter, then you may very well be better served by doing it yourself and hiring freelance labor directly. If you really should be getting some marketing also if you're hiring a services company, and you need to ask a lot of good questions, and you need to educate yourself about what's involved, whether you decide to do it directly yourself or not. So that's essentially ALLi advice. If you want to make your life in this world, is to go direct as much as possible. I use a distributor then like Draft to Digital or Smashwords to reach all those other outlets that you're probably not going to be able to reach yourself. And you may also, what we are seeing with a lot of members, with a proportion of members, is that they actually use the service first time out because they're just petrified. They think it's it is a big learning curve, and they think they can't do it, or they feel they can't do it, or they know they can't do it. So they get somebody to help go through the process in a hand-holding sort of way, and then second book, third book, they actually go and DIY it. And there is no one way to do this. That's the other thing. That's why it can be, you get very long-winded answers like this one, why it can be difficult sometimes to give advice or to know exactly, until we know a bit more about your particular circumstances and the kind of books that you write. It can be difficult to give very general advice because there are lots and lots of ways to skin the publishing cat.
It's true. When we say you need to educate yourself, what Orna means is go and read the books that the Alliance of Independent Authors has put together, because what we've done is try and save everybody time by sharing what we do, what the people like both Orna and I do in terms of doing this as a professional. And the books include Choosing a Self-Publishing Service, How to Self-Publish a Book, which basically contains all the details of what you need. And there's also How Authors Sell Rights, and the Opening Up to Indie Authors, which has a lot about getting into bookstores as well, which is brilliant. So that's what Orna means by educating yourself. Go read those books, and they are in the resources area for ALLi members. The
rights book, I should say, is forthcoming.
Okay,
it's not
or
there.
Online, or on Amazon or Kobo, etc. These,
all widely available, but free to members. So and do read lots of other blogs. Get your trusted advisors. I mean, we have a long list of advisors who you can trust to give you really good information, including Joanna Penn, who is our author enterprise advisor, how to make a living at
how to make money.
How to make money. She's our commercial head. But don't do this without reading around and getting a good sense. We're all writers, which means we got to know how to do research as well. So it's a learning game for the first number of months at least, and it's a learning by doing game. So, and it's fun if you can kind of feel that way about it. Yeah, if you can treat it that way, I think it can be great fun.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if somebody tweeted the wrong link. Hi, Paul.
Hello.
I I think
Okay.
someone tweeted the wrong link to join the call as opposed to
Oh,
watch the call.
who was that someone, I wonder?
I think it was probably you.
Paul, you
You're
won't.
welcome to hang out, Paul, or you could just go watch.
Yeah. We may eject you, actually.
Okay, you're
In the
ejected.
nicest possible way, Paul.
Please watch, and we're about to answer your question, so stick around.
That's Paul Teague, actually, I think. Oh, unless it's
No,
you.
no, this Paul Murphy. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I've got. So,
Pardon me.
yeah. So, because Paul has made his presence known, and he did submit a question. So, Paul says, "Hi, I'm just writing a short ebook novella designed to promote and draw attention to a book published 9 months ago. This is the first time I have done this. Not sure whether to launch it and keep it as a free book or sell it at a minimal price initially." So I'll take this because I actually encouraged Paul to do this when we talked about his other book, which is a fantastic sort of travel memoir of walking the Camino de Santiago, and which I love as well. So I think it's a great book. So basically, if you have one book, you're screwed in any world. In any world, one book is never enough. It's incredibly hard to market one book. So what ideally you need is something that will help you get traffic to that book. And one of the best ways that all of us have found is to do something that you can use as a cheap price or a free, permanently free way into your work. So it needs to be related. So a novella means short, if people don't know, generally between about 15 and 30,000 would be most novellas. So essentially you write something like that. It might be a prequel, it might be about a character, it might be about part of the story that you've done. It's something new, but it's got to be related. And then you can put that, well, obviously when you publish on Amazon and Nook, it can't be free. You have to do it at 99 cents. Then you publish on Kobo, Smashwords, iBooks, all the rest, and you can do free. And eventually Amazon will price match. Nook never does. So you can't go free straight away on Amazon unless you want to go KDP Select, which means you are exclusive to Amazon. And to be honest, if you only have one book, sometimes that is, a good option. But with this novella, you have to decide whether you want more traction just on Amazon, in which case Select is a good idea. And it's only 90 days at a time, so you can do 90 days and then come out and go wider. And then you can go permanently free if you want. So essentially, when we talk about launching now, it's quite funny because I don't know about you, Orna, but I barely do anything. I kind of send an email to my list, and then a couple of months later, when it's got enough reviews, I will pay for some promotion, like BookBub or Free Booksy or one of these other sites. So really, that's what to do, Paul, is decide whether you're going KDP Select or going wider. Put it up for 99 cents, and for if you're doing KDP Select, do the free 5 days, get it moving, get some reviews. Make sure at the back of the novella it directly links into the book. So make sure you have a link per vendor if you're going to go wide. Then after you've got some movement on it, think about paying for some promotion to kind of boost the signal of the novella in order to get people into your higher priced full-length book. So that's what I would do. Any additions, Orna?
Only to say that, it's not just a matter of making it free, that there are lots of tools that will help you to actually get some attention for that free book. So sometimes authors think it's, I'm giving a free book and that is automatically going to be enough, but there is just so much information now, so many books, that you're going to have to work hard to get the attention for that free book for it to be the seller of your actual, book that has that. Yeah.
And we should add there, that Jim Cookrell, Author Marketing Club, has a thing that will submit to all these like 40 odd free places, so that's a good place to look to.
It's a fantastic tool. That's a fantastic tool from Jim, and he has a number of other very good tools too, well worth checking out, Author Marketing Club. But I think the other thing to say is get on and write another book as quickly as you possibly can. Then do kind of get a bit of a list there, because it will run out. You know, your novella leading to that one book, that there will be juice in that for a while, but you need to try and have something else coming in behind it. Yeah. So hopefully, Paul, sorry we had to eject you from actually being in the Hangout, but hopefully you got the answers you were looking for.
Have we got any live questions? Well,
we have another poll. That's why I thought there was confusion there. Hi. Hi, Paul. Just select the question there. Are you aware if you can get CreateSpace copies, yes, sent from the UK at cost price? The default is from the USA with 3 times price and speed postage options offered. Bumps the cost up to the author, and lower postage would increase the profit. It most certainly will. Do you want to tell them what you do?
Well, 2 things. One, at PubSense, I spoke to I can't remember his name, the guy at CreateSpace. The guy's lovely. Anyway, one of
David.
David.
Yes.
And I said to him, you know, he said, so what else are we looking for? And I was like, this is what we want, which is I want to be able to order my author copies from Britain because it's ridiculous. So I tell you what I do. I've actually just done it with One Day in New York. I no longer order the proof copy from CreateSpace. I just publish the book, and then I order when it goes live on Amazon, like a day or 2 later. I just order directly on amazon.co.uk, and I get the copy sent to me, and you know, I know it's going to be fine, so that's fine for me. And because I'm Amazon Prime, it's free shipping. Now, I know that's not at cost. That's actually you know, the sale price rather than the cost price. But because of the free shipping, it actually almost works out cheaper if you're Amazon Prime. So if you ordered like 10 books, for example, if you had a normal size print book and you order 10 of them, the shipping, whether you know wherever you order it from, it's going to be quite expensive because books are heavy. But if you have free shipping, that can make the difference. So that's what I do, basically. What do you suggest, Orna?
Yeah, no, it's the same. You suggested that some time ago, and then I started doing it, and I think, you know, a lot of us are doing that now. But I do think it, you know, if really Amazon is going to open stores in places, you know, in countries all over the world, then it needs to actually. It will happen, and I'm looking forward to that being rolled out, and you know, keep encouraging them to kind of get on with that. So, I mean, I think our US friends are blessed in many ways with self-publishing, you know, and this is one of them. So, a little bit of patience, maybe, Paul. Try that if you are in the UK. Indeed, I'm not sure exactly. Oh, you are in the UK, yeah. If you are not in Prime, it may well be worth considering being in Prime for that benefit alone. Because there are lots of other benefits too.
Yeah, and we're not an advert for Amazon. It's just for free shipping. It's amazing.
We are an advert for free shipping.
Yeah, we are, definitely. But also, if you are very serious about print, which I'm not, Orna is, then you can do your CreateSpace one, but also do your IngramSpark version for extended distribution. And can you do small print runs from IngramSpark for cheaper in the UK?
Ingram's not a cheaper option, it has to be said. Now, I know that Andy and Robin are working really hard to reduce costs for Spark. They waived a particular cost recently that was a bit of a sort of a stumbling block for some authors, and they know that the fact that you have to pay, for example, revision fees and so on is a deterrent for authors, and they do give ALLi members a very good discount. So revision fees are waived, and some of the setup fees are reduced, and so on. So I wouldn't choose Ingram. It's not a cost-based decision as to why we recommend that people should use Ingram for expanded distribution. It's really because Amazon uses Ingram for expanded distribution. So if you're in your Amazon CreateSpace and you are ticking expanded distribution, essentially both Amazon and Ingram will be taking their share of the profit from that book. So what we would recommend that you do is that you take or CreateSpace for your Amazon outlets, because they are more effective in terms of getting your book out and cheaper for Amazon than Spark is. and then use IngramSpark for your expanded distribution. And Ingram is doing very interesting things in terms of trying to develop the possibility for indies to sell into bookstores. They have IPS, which is, I don't know what it stands for, something publishing services, international publishing services, I'm not sure.
Publishing.
Yeah, something publishing services, and it's an invitation only program, and Barbara Freethy is one of the people who's using it. CJ Lyons is another, and again, essentially it's another example of indies kind of just changing how it works. So they are selling directly into the bookstores with Ingram, so they're cutting out all the problem with a book is that so many people get their cut from it. So you've got the publisher takes their cut, you've got the distributor, the bookstore itself, and there can be the wholesaler in the middle there as well. So the amount that the author gets out of the book is very, very small. But now you're talking about just author and Ingram, which will do wholesale and distribution and do the sales into the stores. So you're talking about a very much more significant profit. Now it's not open to every indie by any means. It's by invitation only. But it is a start. It's a sort of thin end of the wedge, I think, and we're watching all that pretty closely, yeah.
And we should say that on the ALLi blog, selfpublishingadvice.org, today is a post called How to Use CreateSpace and IngramSpark Together. So,
which is a great follow-up. Jim Giammatteo, our watchdog, who's ill at the moment, and we sent him our very best. He did a fantastic post, which you will find there as well if you Google it. Ingram and CreateSpace. Yeah, there's a link in that post as well. And this is a follow-up by Karen Myers talking about how she kind of took Jim's advice and applied it to her own situation. So a really good illustration. Yeah, we love those ones where we actually get real life information about exactly what people did, because I think they're really, really useful.
And there are screen prints of the buttons to press and all that, which means it's a really useful post. I'm just having a look at it. It's excellent. And I realise that sometimes we say things and we just assume people understand this stuff. And even words like CreateSpace, IngramSpark, I mean, these are new vocabulary things for some people, and new people, more and more this kind of movement, the indie movement, creative movement is speeding up, and more people are coming in. So posts like that really will help you navigate the things that once you've done it once, you'll know how to do it. So hopefully that will help. Do you have any other? I've got another question. Have you got anything there?
Yeah, Patricia's come in with a question. Let me just see. Hi, Orna and Joanna. It's Patricia in Toronto. Hi, Patricia. Patricia fans. A question of another sort. How are you holding up with all the advanced IndieReCon work you're doing? Oh, do you really want to know?
Do you want the official answer or the unofficial answer?
Yes. I posted about it on my blog today, and I'm going to speak to the Toronto branch of the RWA about it. Fantastic. Kudos. Thank you, Patricia, and thanks for your help. We were actually talking about it at the beginning of the session. We are inviting all our members and anybody else who might be watching to spread the word about IndieReCon. How we're holding up? Well, we're holding up. It's a lot of work preparing a conference, and Shelley and ALLi are the people who kind of founded IndieReCon, and we're working closely together with them and learning, how to work together and all of that. So there's loads of things going on, and it's just pre-conference fortnight. So I think anybody who's had this sort of event will know that it's busy, but it's very exciting. Some of the stuff that's coming through is really great. I know you're going to love it. So we're holding up, we're fine, we'll be there. And thanks for your spreading the word. And we are also looking for volunteers. So if anybody has some spare time over those 3 days, we'll be looking for people to do the live chats and support us on some of the tech, and because of course it's also running at the same time as London Book Fair, and we're going to be at London Book Fair and therefore not available always online. So yeah, we need some help. So thank you very much for spreading the word. Yeah, go to the RWA.
I'll comment on that. It reminds me of the quote that's on the wall at Kobo in Toronto when I visited Kobo. The quote on the wall is from Mario Andretti, who's a racing car driver, and it is, if everything seems under control, you're just not going fast enough. And I think, you know, and that reflects how Kobo's growing, how we all are growing. I mean, like I said, the reason I'm out of control at the moment, because I'm going very, very fast, and I'm so adrenaline kind of amped up at the moment with everything I'm doing. But I've been doing this, what, goodness, 7 years now I've been doing this, and I am learning new stuff every day, and I love it. It's amazing to do this, but that's part of being an indie and being a creative in the world we live in. And like every week there's something new, right? Every week we're learning new stuff, we're picking up new skills, we're changing stuff. Like, you know, retitling a book, for example, and I will blog about this, we can talk about it next month, but retitling something which I haven't done before, you have to change all this stuff, and there's all these things to think about, and branding and stuff. It's very interesting. So I think that going fast, like IndieReCon is a great example. You've got all these people working really hard. Some stuff will go wrong.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't really matter, because it's better to get it out there and have it 80% right than it is to just not do it, which I think has to be our motto for being indie in general. It's like, do it, make a mistake, fix it later, make another mistake, fix that later, and just keep, this is what we do.
I think so, absolutely. And I mean, that is the creative way. And that's why I think this world is endlessly satisfying, because as creatives, you know, as soon as you've done something once or twice, you kind of get bored, and you kind of want to do it a different way. Yeah, and that's why this, I think, is going to, because there are so many, you know, you've got the stuff coming in so many different ways. You've got the creative content, which is changing. I mean, indies have changed genre categories, the length of the book is changing, the whole structure of a book, the multimedia thing, the gaming thing. You're talking about virtual reality, so you've got all that sort of stuff, and then you've got all the software people who are coming in with different ideas about how to promote, how to reach readers, readers' involvement in the book, the reader being able to change how the story evolves. I mean, it's endless what can happen here, and what is happening here is happening very fast. So it is a really, really exciting, exhilarating, creative ride. And I think the best advice is what you just gave there, because if you're waiting to feel comfortable, it's going to have moved on. You've just got to go in there and get used to that kind of creative discomfort, which if you feel it for a while and you realize, yeah, that actually went quite well now, actually I really enjoy that, and stop judging what you're doing and trying to be better and trying to be perfect, which is just going to leave you in that situation where you're not doing it at all. So not okay in terms of I think the content is the one place where you need to sort of put that extra
editors and stuff,
all of that, and also your own writing, not to be too kind of slapdash and just throw it off. I think there is a lot to be said for kind of sitting and carefully with the material and getting it right, getting your voice right, especially at the beginning, as a beginning writer, rather than just kind of putting your first efforts out there. But it also is a way I am seeing writers coming through who really, hadn't a clue when they started. Some of them are starting now so young with Wattpad and everything. They are learning by, being not great and getting a lot of negative feedback, surviving that, getting better, taking the constructive bits, getting better again, and failing better, as Samuel Beckett put it. So no excuses really, is there?
No. Okay. And by the way, I don't think this is an age thing either. I met a lovely guy in Charleston who's been on my kind of on my site for a number of years now, and we're talking about virtual reality stuff and the future and everything, and he was super excited and doing everything. So I think
what age was he?
I don't want to say, but
not young. Well, I'm 55.
White head. Let's say that. Anyway, because I often get people who say to me, "Oh, I'm too old to learn all that stuff," and it's just like, nah, don't be silly.
No, it's nonsense. I get people my age saying that. I'm 55. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And I am so not techie as well. I mean,
No,
it takes me a
Orna is so
while.
not. She just
Yeah.
has to find people to help her.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, so that we're between friends here.
I have no secrets.
Okay, we've got one of the questions here from Lakshmi, which is a lovely name, and my cat was called Lakshmi in Australia, and we called him Shmi, and I miss him every day. But anyway, Lakshmi asked, you can tell I've had a long day, right?
The goddess of wealth, isn't it?
Yes,
Lakshmi?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. How can I grow my newsletter database? Right now, combining Rafflecopter with MailChimp is too expensive, $43 a month. Is there a more economical way of doing this? So yeah, growing your newsletter list is a long-term thing, and you choose between MailChimp, which is free for the first 1,000 people, but then you start paying, and Aweber you pay from day one, and it goes up in bands depending on how many people you have on your list. And it's very important with lists, as you know, I've had a list now for 6 years, and I clean my list regularly, because otherwise you pay for a whole load of people who don't even open your emails. So that's one thing, keep it clean. But in terms of Rafflecopter is a fantastic tool for promoting specific things. So we used it with the New York Times USA Today run thing very well, but I've never used it otherwise. But essentially you do, you use it to attract people and they can sign up for your list. My one issue with using a giveaway, I mean, we gave away like an iPad or something, it was a really big giveaway, is you attract people who want giveaways, not necessarily people who are going to stick around and read your book. So that's why I haven't used Rafflecopter, except for that one time when it wasn't my list, it was kind of a joint list. How I have grown my list organically is purely by having a link at the back of the book and on my website. So for the Creative Pen, you can get a free Author 2.0 blueprint, which I've rewritten every 6 months for the last 6 years. So that's free. That's like my book on self-publishing, basically. That's free for an email. For JF Pen, I have now free. You can get Day of the Vikings for free, so a novella is for free for an email. And I have a blog post about this for fiction. Nick Stevenson helped me with redoing my fiction list, and we added the call to action at the beginning of the book as well as the end of the book for, you know, come and get a free book type of thing. And then the other piece of advice that he gave me was using images, so not just having a call for action at the end of the book which says come and sign up for my newsletter, like just in text, but actually having an image of the free book so that people go, oh, that looks good, and then click. And so using images instead of text is generally a good marketing idea. And then essentially using a permanently free book, as we talked about earlier with Paul's stuff. If you have a free book, it will likely get downloaded more than paid books. So you use that as a way to get people on your list. So those things you don't have to pay for. Rafflecopter you do have to pay for, and the email list itself you have to pay for. But just make sure you're getting people who actually want to read what you're writing and not just people who wanted a giveaway. So I hope that makes sense. Do you have any tips, Orna, on growing newsletter?
Not a huge amount to add to that. We did ALLi Insights seminar with Nick just a couple of weeks ago, so you'll find that on the YouTube /indie author ALLi, and he gives a lot of the tips that you've just kind of summarized there and goes into them in a little bit more detail. I think what Nick is doing is interesting because he's just a very good teacher of these principles that a lot of indies have been using for quite a long time now. The main thing I think is also, I think it really does help in terms of getting signups if your website is interesting. And if your blog is interesting and adds value, you know, and people are going to get a newsletter or information that is going to be of value to them. That's much harder when you write fiction, I think. So then it's about being interesting and entertaining, and then wanting to hear more of your voice and know more about your story world and all that kind of thing. So sometimes there's a temptation, like with the iPad, the Rafflecopter idea, there's a temptation to try and kind of bribe people into your list. That is very counterproductive. Much better to have, 400 people who really are looking forward to hearing what you're saying. And then when you have a new book, will be interested in buying it, and getting it, having a list that seems like it has a lot of people. But actually doesn't, and people, you've got a 1% opening rate or something. It really is pointless. So again, like everything, I think in this world, the more authentic it is, the more real it is, the more successful it is. So a real warm connection with your readers begins there, and it's a very slow build. This is not something that happens overnight, and if it does happen overnight, it isn't it. It really isn't.
Unless you've hit number one on Amazon and you do have 100,000 people download your book, and
all of a sudden, and that does happen, the breakout miracle kind of thing. And people win the lottery, and but we don't deal with that. That's fine. That's great for we deal with what's a much more everyday experience, and I think actually I would say that it takes a long time for a writer to find their voice and to develop that relationship with their readers. So it begins with, what am I offering? What have I got to offer? Why should anybody read me? There are a lot of people writing. What am I bringing?
And why do I want people on a list? What am I going to say to these people? There's no point in having a big list that you never talk to, and even a small list you don't talk to. So what are you going to say to people? Or how often do you put out a book? What are you going to do in between releases? I mean, these are questions. I think everyone's going nuts at the moment. I've seen things, maybe it's Nick's fault, but Nick, everyone's going nuts on building a list, but forgetting that they actually then have to do something with that list, like talk to them. So I think that's important too, is like Orna said, think about the whole package. And, one thing I've learned the hard way from going hard on with a first book, first novel, and promoting the hell out of it, and then kind of being disappointed at everything because one book, as I said, doesn't do anything on its own, is when people like Bob Mayer and people who've got loads of books say, don't promote the first book, wait till you've got 3 books and then start promoting. Actually, now I totally see the sense in what they say, but as we talked about with the speed, I'm someone who goes too fast to listen to that advice now. If you're able to listen to that advice, then it's good advice. But otherwise, whatever, make it up as you go along.
Which is what we all do anyway. And I think it's fair to say that most people will overpromote the first book, will waste loads of money trying different ways because you just want somebody to read it.
To sell, damn it.
It's very human. And then if you do kind of sit still long enough to get the second book out and a third book out, then you're in the realm, I think, of enjoying it for its own sake. And it's somewhere along the line you lose the anxiety about what readers think of it and, who's bought it today and, watching your sale go up and down and all of that. There's always a bit of that, but the joy in the process itself is actually the reward for this life, and it's a long-term thing, and the more you can realize that it isn't something that's going to happen overnight, the more you will enjoy it and be happy about it. I think managing expectations, your own expectations, is actually something I want to write about as something that we really need to think about as authors, about in absolutely every aspect of publishing, that dual sort of characteristic you have to take on when you become your own publisher. So you have to bring a cool head into, while the writer has a warm heart, and, bringing those two things together in a way that serves the reader really. So I think if you think about it as service and what we have to offer, what we're for, what we're about, and also that it's a learning process, and that we can be doing and learning at the same time, and each mistake that we make takes us closer to knowing more what we're about. But we probably never fully know. I think there's always an element of dissatisfaction that's almost part of the job.
Wow, we're getting all deep and meaningful. This is
Oh, I love to do that.
doing it late at night. What? Well, late for me. I'm a morning person. So I finished all my questions. We've got 5 minutes. Do we have any other live questions?
Actually, we've gone over time because we're supposed to be 45 minutes now.
Oh, I thought we were an hour.
Yeah. So we're
bonus time.
Yeah, we gave you bonus time. So we're out of questions on this side. I think
fantastic.
Yeah.
So we will be, IndieReCon, which is in 2 weeks' time as we're talking now, will be fantastic. IndieReCon.org is where you want to go. And in fact, even if you're listening to this recording at any point in the future, you can go to IndieReCon.org or the Alliance of Independent Authors blog to find the information there. So you haven't missed out anyway. Anything else, Orna?
Nope, that's it.
We'll be back at the Tuesday, 28th of April, back to the last Tuesday of the month, 8 p.m.
That's it. 8 p.m.
London time.
London time. We can't even say GMT.
No.
8 p.m. London time, last Tuesday of the month, and that will be our sort of run, I think, more or less for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year.
Summer. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Thanks so much, Orna.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.